thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It's Tuesday, December 24th, and today is National Eggnog Day, you guys. Woohoo! Yeah. It's also Christmas Eve. Little holiday cheer, a little ho, ho, ho. You know what I'm saying? All right, you guys quiet. Okay, all right. Well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below on your screen to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms, you guys. And I'm not sure what is happening with Rico.
Late as usual.
I don't know if he's going to show up today. I was trying to text him, and you know what I'm saying? I didn't get any response, so I hope everything is okay with him. And
hope everything's okay too. We should start some sort of conspiracy theory.
Yeah, there's maybe, you know what I'm saying? It's very.
I had an impression Rico was actually Santa Claus. And so he's probably busy.
Oh, that's right. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure because when he was sick, he lost 11 pounds. So I'm not sure if if his body weight is up enough to be Santa Claus.
Well, the miracle of Christmas provides, bro.
That is true.
You got to get all skinny to get down the chimneys, bro.
That is true. Speaking of the miracles of Christmas, I have a little interesting little story for you before we get into this. So on Sunday, I was reminiscing on some like fond Christmas memories, and my grandma used to make these special cookies, right? The peanut butter cookies with the Hershey's Kiss in the center, and I was just like, oh man, I would really love some of those. I'd love to go and make some of those, but I don't know the freaking recipe or any of that, whatever. So
or how to cook.
Yeah, right. So I walked down to the pier. I walked down to the pier on Sunday evening, and when I walk back, there is a bag. Okay. There is a bag sitting in front of my doorstep, you guys, from one of my neighbors. And inside of that bag, well, first of all, there's a little tag. There's a little tag, and it says, "Merry Christmas, homemade pumpkin bread, and peanut butter blossoms," you guys. So there was this pumpkin bread right there. Look at that, from my neighbors. And I've never even met these neighbors yet, you guys. Have not met them at all. And bam, there was 6 of these. I've already smashed 2 of these, but they called them peanut butter blossoms. I forget what my grandma called them. I have no clue, but I was so excited that
thing.
Are they listeners of the show and they just heard your plea for
no, they just, you know what I'm saying, just a little baby
karma thing, huh?
Yeah, just a little baby Christmas miracle over here in Huntington Beach, Todd. Nice. You know what I'm saying?
Very nice.
All right, well, enough of that. We're gonna roll right into Mr. Todd Denkin. He is the man with the golden voice. And yes, here we go. He is the founder of the Smuggleverse, where you can get all of your digital dank. And of course, he is also the man with the plan at Digipath Labs, the man who knows how to test weed beyond a reasonable doubt. That's right. It is the man with the plan, Mr. Todd Denkin.
Thank you. I'm going to give myself some applause here. Yes, the man with the plan. And just so we know, I've been testing weed for many years, but
many moons, huh?
For only 10.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough, Todd.
Exactly. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Hope everybody's having a great Christmas season thus far. Well, everybody is, except for some folks in Maine, because police seized nearly 1,500 marijuana plants in an illegal Maine grow house. That's right. Police have busted another illegal marijuana grow house in Cornville. Officers raided a West Ridge Road home about 1 p.m. last week on a Wednesday, finding a large indoor marijuana plant cultivation operation and drying and processing room, according to the Somerset County Sheriff's Office. During the raid, officers seized 1,497, approximately 53 pounds of processed marijuana. That was 1,497 plants, $1,800 in cash, drug-related articles, and a 2017 Toyota van, according to the Sheriff's Office. Yuhi Shen, 52, and Shabing Gao, 46.
Shabing, Shabang.
Right? Both of Brooklyn, New York, have been charged with unlawful trafficking in scheduled drugs, cultivation of marijuana. They've been jailed at the Somerset County Jail in Madison on $15,000 bail, and both have been scheduled to appear in Somerset County Unified Criminal Court on March 5th, 2025. It's just the latest large-scale illegal marijuana operation uncovered in Maine in recent months. Since the beginning of the year, police have been active in busting these large operations, which have been found all over rural Maine, from Brownville and Guilford, Milo, and Sangerville, and they have some really strange counties, Scotkeys County, to Carina, Eddington, Holden, and they list lots and lots of counties, and they're very difficult to pronounce. So we'll skip right down to Wednesday's bust was the 22nd in Somerset County since the beginning of the year. Those busts have resulted in 13 arrests and the seizure of approximately 28,000 marijuana plants, 250 pounds of processed marijuana, $50,000 in cash, 5 vehicles, according to the Sheriff's Office. These operations received greater scrutiny after the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office found an illegal marijuana grow house in Carmel, where police seized 400 plants and 111 pounds of processed marijuana in late June of 23. As the year dragged on, police uncovered other large illegal marijuana operations in Dexter, Milton, Machias, and other communities. A leaked federal government memo, first obtained by the conservative Daily Caller, published last August, estimated that Maine has as many as 270 large-scale illegal marijuana grows connected to organized crime groups in China. Memo's authors noted that the money may be used to further crime in the United States or be sent back to China. These operations generate an estimated $4.37 billion in revenue. That claim has been substantiated further by FBI Director Christopher Wray, who previously said that homes, typically in rural Maine, are being turned into grow and processing facilities tied to Chinese organized crime. Maine's congressional delegation has twice pressed the U.S. Justice Department to crack down on these illegal marijuana operations, most recently January 25th, 2024. U.S. Senators Susan Collins and Angus King and U.S. Representatives Chelly Pingree and Jared Golden said in their January letter to the Attorney General, quote, "We applaud Maine law enforcement for their continued efforts to investigate and shut down these illegal operations. We encourage the Department of Justice and other federal partners to provide additional support for these efforts. These illegal growing operations are detrimental to Maine businesses that comply with state laws, and we urge the DOJ to shut them down." Unquote. U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency is investigating criminal syndicates running illegal grows in at least 20 states. That revelation from U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland came in response to questioning by Collins during an Appropriations Committee hearing in mid-April. It's unclear whether the Cornville operation is connected to other illegal marijuana grows in Maine or to the crime network described in the federal memo. No additional information was immediately available this morning. Todd Denkin with High at 9 News. What do you guys think? 270 large-scale illegal marijuana grows connected to organized crime groups in China? In Maine? What's going on here, Jason?
It's part of all those 200,000 farms that the Chinese own that of U.S. land, probably.
Yeah, we've talked about this story a few times over the year.
I mean,
and how these Chinese gang members are just infiltrating U.S. cannabis.
Yeah, Maine is a hotbed for activity like this, and I did see a funny thing in the chat already. Where did you go? Oh man, it was pretty good. It was someone that I have not mentioned before in this chat. Thomas Sciallo. I'm sorry if I murder your name, Thomas, but it says Chinese can grow some kick-ass weed, which I think is just hysterical because I've never seen good Chinese weed before.
I'm sorry, have you never sold trap weed? Because Asian bubbas, they have the
I've sold plenty of that stuff, Jenny. I said was whether or not it was good or not.
The bubbas were.
No, they weren't. This fucking.
This is all boof. Chinese weed.
It's all
a half hour later, you want to get high again.
I mean,
so I just think it's really, really disgusting, Todd, that you're talking about your angina and your peanut butter flour.
Oh,
okay,
boy.
Like that is just. I don't know why you always have to start it out in the gutter, my man.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your angina to yourself.
Weird.
Oh boy.
Just keep.
Are you putting him back on? Are you going to put him back on the shelf,
Just
Jenny?
because you're lab tested doesn't
No, I'm
mean
not.
you're
I'm gonna let
safe.
Yarrow fucking. I'm gonna encourage Yarrow to fucking go the fuck off.
Oh wow! Look
Are
at
you
this!
tripping?
Look at
Are you on
this!
psychedelics this morning?
No, I'm not.
He's
I'm
off his
not.
meds. That's for sure. That's for sure.
You ought to be.
Well, he hasn't. He won't.
I've also not seen amazing flower
See?
emanating from the Shezhuang region ever. But we do have to acknowledge the history of cannabis in China and the fact that in and of itself means that there could be a day in the near future where China regains its pole position as incredibly relevant.
Well, I mean, Yarrow, to that point, the Chinese do grow some amazing hemp.
Yeah, Jason. Because there's a big difference there.
Out there.
Well, their isolate leaders have like no detectable CBD in them, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But high levels of heavy metals. So there's that.
The high levels.
Because we fucked
How
up.
they career customs.
Yeah, that's not their fault. That's because farmers have fucked up this land for so long, and now the weed farmers that are growing on top of that are reaping all of the cadmium, not the benefits, but just the cadmium. So
Right.
that's how it goes. I mean, look, the East Coast. I just returned from the Northeast. Shout out all of my fam on the Northeast. I have a lot of great friends doing amazing work in the state of Maine. Shout out Third Shift Resin.
Yeah.
But look,
We're on fire.
there is there's a lot of people up there, okay, and then there's a lot of entrepreneurs. If you know anything from the California market, there's a lot of entrepreneurs here too, and now these people are taking it in their own hands, whether they're Chinese, Japanese, Brazilian, wherever from. I mean, there's definitely a lot of activity out there because there's a lot of smokers. There's a lot of people consuming cannabis. There's a lot of people consuming cannabis more ways than just smoking. But where there's a demand, there's going to be a savvy entrepreneur who's going to try their hardest to make it happen. And again, ethnicity aside, I mean, look, it's the movement is obviously global, and the East Coast consumes a lot of cannabis. I don't think that we're going to see the last of these stories coming out of Maine or anywhere else, but unfortunately, it's this. I think this story has to do with a lot of other things. I think it's really, it's sad that Asian minority.
What do you think it's having to do with, Simon?
I mean, I think it's easy for people to point out someone that looks a little different and say, "Hey, those guys are here doing something bad." I think the worst part about stories like this is you're gonna see lots of discrimination based upon someone's looks. And look, but
if it's Chinese grows, is that's not discrimination?
I mean, look, every Chinese person's not growing weed.
No one said. No, I don't think anyone said that or implied that.
I definitely did not say that. Yeah.
I don't think anyone said that or implied that, and I don't understand where anyone would pick that up from.
Jason, I'm not saying that either. I'm saying that it's easy for people to get discriminated against because of their race, and stories like this doesn't help. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that it's like
well, maybe if there weren't illegal Chinese grows, we wouldn't be covering this story, and then that would help out the whole situation all the way around.
Maybe if our government got their shit together, and we as operators and the movement got our shit together and helped.
This is the government's problem now?
It's always the government's problem, bro. Everyone always wants to look for governments for the answers. You know what I'm saying?
Jason, just saying that.
We never said they were Chinese. We just said their names was Yu He Chen and Sub Jing Gao. Oh, you just assumed.
Yeah, Saman, that's racist, Saman. That's racist, Saman. Can't believe you.
Listen carefully. I'm not saying that this is a racist story. I'm not saying that anything like that. I'm just saying.
What are you saying?
Yeah, we don't understand what you're saying, Saman.
On this Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We feel like you're trying to gaslight us right now.
Just trying to smoke that gas. Gaslight.
Yeah, fair enough.
Light, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You just totally took the wind out of the sails, Jason. Thanks a lot.
Anytime, bro. Anytime. Speaking,
Chris Kringle over there. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Jenny Beth, you have anything you want to say about this before we move to a commercial?
No.
No.
Once again, congratulations for useless commentary. Good job.
Oh God. Oh, do you want to add something worthwhile to this then, Jenny Beth?
Not even worth it. No,
not even worth it. She has nothing to say. She's speechless. You guys.
I will proxy in her place.
You're gonna proxy. All right, here we go.
I think what Saman was trying to say and fumbled badly is that
it was like him rolling a blunt.
Is that in this country, given the history of our country and where we want to take this country, in truly creating opportunity for all and a more diverse and inclusive nation, it's important to remember that when we have a steady drumbeat of news stories over at least 18 months talking about the nexus between illicit grows and Asian crime rings, that we just need to think and be mindful about the history of how we as a country, not anybody individually, not anybody on the show, have maligned certain groups. And whether that's the Italians with brown skin for the mafia, or the Mexican mafia with cartel grows on BLM land, or the Hmong population in portions of Northern California doing grow house after grow house after grow house, we just need to be mindful that we don't cross that gauzy line into what's the word? Help me out here, Saban. I'm over my skis here.
Yeah.
And not maligning a group merely because there happens to be some news stories that we continue to pick up and we amplify. Right? 100%. Is that what you were saying, Saman?
You definitely spoke to the heart of what the message was.
You're in the ballpark.
It's the real culprit here is the people who aren't allowing us to unfuck this system and to create a way for everyone to be able to grow weed, and for it not to be a situation where if you're growing 12 plants in your house, you're going to get your door kicked in. And I'm not saying these people grew 12 plants or not. I'm just saying if you're growing cannabis for your own consumption and somebody calls the cops on you and you don't have a way to defend yourself, look, we're well beyond that. And that shouldn't be the case. And if you're growing cannabis because you're trying to support a business, there should be a pathway for you to do that. That's not going to cost you $1 million and rape you in taxes by a state who doesn't actually help to identify issues in your industry and help to relieve those issues.
They're missing the point in this whole story. The whole story is that 270 large-scale marijuana grows connected to organized crime groups in China.
Organized crime, bro.
Denigrating the fucking
270 grows, bro. That's almost 300, Saman. And look how small the state of Maine is.
I'm saying that's what this.
That's a lot of illicit weed, bro. That's all boof too. That's all boof. This is just flooding the market and causing price compression.
All right. Well, I mean, I think that Yarrow did a great job of explaining what the idea and the premise of that argument was, and I think the argument still stands.
Yeah, I think the Hmong people, I actually do have something to throw in there. I think the Hmong people are actually a really great fucking example, right? Because up in Northern California, they've outlawed water deliveries to roads that Hmong people live on because they think they're all fucking growing weed. So that might be somebody's Hmong ass grandma sitting down there that can't get her water delivery because now we're being racist and we're saying that all the Hmong people that live in this area are only there to do illicit activities.
Yeah, just and exactly. And to be clear,
that makes sense.
She said what you were trying to say way better, Simone.
I mean, no, I mean like that's
shorter
the point. That's just another feather in the cap because $1,000. Like this is exactly what I'm talking about. So obviously it's because these people can't go get a license legally to provide a business for themselves. It's not like they can't do that. We know they can. But
leave it to Jenny to be both from the heart, but also be able to say Hmong ass grandma and and have that work for her and for us and for the show, because not everybody out there has a Hmong ass grandma, and I think the thing that's interesting, Todd, you are old enough to be most people's grandpapa.
True.
So the chances that your grandma is still around and alive and kicking, unless you put her on some cryogenic like freezing
Very
shit,
slim.
I think she's probably no longer with us.
On for a long time.
That said, I do think one of the things that is interesting to me about this is I don't understand how there's still an illicit market in some areas where organized crime sees a profit margin in illicit cannabis, because I thought the bottom had dropped out in such a pronounced way that organizations that were tasked with making money were looking at other opportunities. And I can't help but wonder whether there is some connection between the continued and overpronounced stigmatization of cannabis use in many Asian cultures and the allegation and, data points we've covered on this show of organized Asian crime syndicates growing cannabis, because I think it is one of the few cultures where cannabis is still really not accepted. I mean, there's a reason why in San Francisco dispensaries were allowed to be put up in every place except for Chinatown, right? There was a very strong fight against accepting cannabis, and I can't help but wonder whether the reason why some organized crime groups can continue to justify the resource-heavy act of, indoor cultivation is because some of those cultural groups still see cannabis as not wellness, not plant medicine, not okay, something illicit, and with that, there might be some profit within those customer groups.
Well, Yarrow, just to double back on your point, I think you might be onto something a little bit there, and I would push a little bit even further and to say it's not necessarily really in their culture as in present day, because I was out there about 10 or 12 years ago, and weed was not really a thing within their culture. Like, I was walking around smoking. I even walked up to a cop and had him light my blunt, and no problems whatsoever. They just thought it smelled like it was a funny American cigar kind of thing. And the only way that you were going to get snitched out is if the Europeans told on you. And we were inside restaurants smoking and everything.
Well, I mean, if we start to think about weed for the people, there are definitely a lot of people in China.
There is a lot of people. And on that, you know what, Yarrow, I'm just glad that they're not eating the cats. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial and we're going to be right back. And we are back, you guys. I'm gonna roll into my first story today, since this is the story that I was gonna have Rico cover, because he didn't find one. So we hope he's okay and doing well, and want to make sure that we wish him and his family a Merry Christmas. But I'm sure
prayers go out to Rico and his family.
Yeah.
Sad,
And this is coming
sad
out
day.
of the UK, you guys, because a court hears Digga D supplied cannabis to his entourage, you guys. That's right. A leading UK drill star supplied up to 60 kilograms, that's 132 pounds of cannabis on a commercial level, including socially to his entourage in the music industry, a court has heard. Digga D, whose real name is Roz Herbert, was arrested near Lincoln in the early hours of the 21st of February while broadcasting on Instagram Live, you guys. He pleaded guilty in May to a charge of smuggling cannabis related to the 11th of July, 2023, and he also admitted supplying cannabis between the 26th of October of 2022 and the 21st of February, 2024. However, a judge at Lincoln Crown Court is deciding if the rapper played a leading role in supplying quantities of the Class B drug on, in quotes, a commercial scale. After the prosecution did not accept, he had imported 3 kilograms, that's 6.6 pounds. During the trial of the issue known as the Newton hearing, Herbert's defense barrister James Scooby KC said the artist admitted being a heavy user of cannabis and would also supply cannabis socially to his entourage in the music industry. This included 4 people who were living with him at the address in Brackbridge Brackbridge Heath near Lincoln during the period of the raid. Mr. Scooby told the court that Herbert of Longsdale Road, Notting Hill, London, accepted importing 3 kilograms, 6.6 pounds of cannabis and selling about 5 kilograms, that's 11 pounds, of the Class B drug on a Sephardic commercial basis, you guys, making a small profit of 300 to 400 pounds on each deal. However, prosecutors said the musician played a leading role in supplying cannabis with a quantity of up to 60 kilograms. That's up to 132 pounds. A prosecution drugs expert who examined messages recovered from Herbert concluded they were consistent with the wholesale kilo supply of skunk cannabis, which had been imported from America, the court heard. Mobile phone footage of the rapper handling a bag of cannabis and allegedly complaining about the poor quality was also played in court, and a number of photographs showed Herbert handling large amounts of cash, the prosecution claimed. The court heard 2 sets of weighing scales and a cannabis grinder were recovered from Herbert's London home in Lonsdale Road. And Mr. Scooby told the court his client was an internationally recognized musician with a legitimate income and made videos which demonstrated large amounts with which demonstrated large amounts of cash. At the time of his activity, Herbert had earnings in excess of 3 million pounds. And Mr. Scooby said Herbert is currently remanded in custody at HMP Wormwood Scrubs and is following the hearing via a video link from the prison. Digga D is one of the UK's leading drill performers, with his tracks getting millions of views online. And drill started in Chicago in the early 2010s, but in recent years, UK artists have adopted the genre, and the 2-day hearing will continue, you guys. Well, Digga D digging himself a big old ditch in jail right now. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for Scooby and them damn kids, right? I mean, like,
oh, that was good, Jenny. That was good.
Listen, I mean, shock and surprise. Like, I don't know. Like, that sucks. You got caught. Sorry.
Right, exactly. Right.
I mean,
and I'll give you $50 if Jason Beck knows what drill is.
I know what drill is.
Where's everybody's heart? Come on now. Look, I mean, England has an oversized influence musically in this world and has for better part of, well, before the Beatles, right? So a really long time. And it's just so ass backwards that they haven't evolved much when it comes to cannabis policy. I mean, if we look at countries in Europe, England is like I don't know, only 150 years behind Germany. It's really, really sad. And yet here you got this young guy. And, cannabis typically is a pretty social drug. And so the idea that he's living with a few people and they've got a collective stash. I mean, I'll put this under the creative tool category for some young guys, gals making music. And here we got another person who's going to get lynched in the headlines, ran through the press, career could be derailed, being held over cannabis. And so there's just a certain level of insanity around this. Like, England's got terrible food, great music. They want us to go over there, look at the jewels, celebrate their history, and yet here they are just at the forefront. I mean, why don't they just be Russia? Why don't you just lock up Britney while you're at it? I mean, it's just so behind the times, and I don't know what it's going to take before people get angry enough over there to say, look, we're only tolerating this questionable weather because we want to be able to be in the Shire like Yarrow and enjoy our hobbit selves while medicated.
Yes, but Yarrow, like, as someone who is a big fan of British drill rap and British rap in general, here's the problem, right? 6.6 pounds of cannabis is not the problem. 6.6 pounds of cannabis when you're trapping it and also rapping about it. So you're throwing it in the face of these people who are there to enforce these laws. That's when it becomes a problem. You know what I mean? So we've seen that happen here. You're not the victim. You flaunted this shit. That's like going nanny, nanny, boo, boo to the police. What the fuck do you think's going to happen? If you're breaking the rules and you look at your mom and you go nanny, nanny, boo, boo and stick your ass out, I bet she's going to hit you with a belt.
Nanny, nanny, boo, boo.
Stick your head in doo-doo.
I mean,
I'm not saying it was smart or strategic. I just think I can't speak for women. I just know as a young man and raising a young man, young men don't make good decisions. They just don't.
I'm just imagining how live his live was when all the bobbies came in and kicked his door down with their little batons and whatnot during his live. You know what I mean?
It's just enforcing this is totally short baton energy. It really is.
And maybe it gave him more street cred. He's going to sell more albums.
Little Bobby energy. Bobby energy. Like those little cars.
Oh, man. You guys. All right. Fair enough. We're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right in to Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She is America's sweetheart and the founder of Kind Cannabis for all of your cannabis consulting needs, as well as Justice Served, which can help you rehabilitate your life if you've been adversed like Dig a D. That's right. It is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
If you've been adversed...
I didn't say ad-libbed, adversed,
It's a British term, Jenny. God.
Yeah, God.
Don't know when you've been adversed, eh?
Yeah, geez, Jenny. Come on, get with the program over here. We're across the pond today.
I love it when Jason tries new words for the first time.
Jeez.
Every time Jason reads an article, I hear a new word.
Right?
I'm the gift that keeps on giving, you guys. You guys are welcome.
The sounding it out's my favorite part. But anyhow, all right, back to Missouri. Because Missouri cannabis regulators are cracking down on predatory practices within the state's marijuana microbusiness program. The Division of Cannabis Regulation announced proposed new rules aimed at protecting the integrity of the program, which was designed to help disadvantaged individuals or those who've been adversely affected by the war on drugs gain access to the cannabis industry. The microbusiness program, created after voters approved recreational marijuana in 2022, uses a lottery system to award licenses. However, nearly half of the 96 licenses issued so far have faced revocation or are under investigation. Regulators say many of these issues stem from predatory contracts where ineligible entities recruit eligible applicants only to strip them of profit and decision-making power. Yada. The proposed rules introduce stricter requirements to ensure that microbusinesses are truly majority-owned and operated by eligible individuals. This includes requiring applicants to demonstrate real operational control over their businesses and banning anyone tied to previously revoked licenses from future applications. Applicants would also need to complete training on predatory practices and submit applications directly without relying on consultants who often act as intermediaries. The division says these changes are essential to prevent misuse of the program and to honor its goal of creating opportunities for marginalized communities. While the changes could slow the rollout of the remaining licenses, supporters believe they're necessary to preserve the program's purpose.
It's going to take no,
Hey, Adam, we can hear you.
Adam, we can hear you guys, Adam.
The draft rules are now available on the Division of Cannabis Regulations website, and the public is encouraged to submit feedback by January 6th. For more details, you can visit their website. Good for you, Missouri, because this is absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, we'll see how good of a job you do stopping it. I think that it's important they're not allowing people who've been previously revoked to participate going forward. I think that should be a very duh thing to do. But it seems like Missouri actually cares about trying to shut this down a little bit. If that actually happens.
I mean, Missouri does have the amazing market, Jenny. And people are actually making money in Missouri right now. And so it is
not going to last.
I mean, yeah, I think it is. It has been lasting. So why wouldn't it last, Todd?
Oh, because it's not consistent with the rest of the world.
All of a sudden, Louisiana is going to give them a run for their money.
I don't know if California can't give them a run for their money.
That's part of my point. I mean, people are actually making money in Missouri, and I think this is part of them ensuring that people are going to make money is having this type of enforcement out there, because they, you know what I'm saying, that's one of the ways to keep the prices afloat.
I agree. I'm all for enforcement of bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
As we could tell by your story today.
That's right. That's right. You know. No, it's license. If you got to get a license, you got to operate properly. You got to do it right. I mean, ask Jenny. She protects these folks and defends them all over the place. You know, it's and then she says, you know the rules. Don't play by the rules, then fuck you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you have to say about this, Amon?
Well, I mean, how many licenses are there in Missouri, and how many have there been? And is that why their prices are still high, because their supply is not like meeting the full demand, and because they have also a parallel THCA market that's doing well there? I mean, look, it's not that the enforcement's bad; it's that everyone's confused. Mm-hmm. The law enforcement's confused. The system's obviously confused. One incentivizes operators, one takes their fucking profits away. So I don't know. I mean, I think that like the whole thesis that I'm ever trying to make on this show is we need to take a step back and we need to like unfuck what we've done, and we need to create a system where it makes sense and where we don't have to like navigate through taxation just to make profits. And now it's not just small operators, it's multinational corporations that are doing the navigating. They're better at it. They have more resources. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Missouri is it's a haven, obviously, but like as their neighbors start to come online, we're going to see a difference in their market, because everything is predicated on the shortage, the drought in every one of these other states that's surrounding these havens. And once that landscape changes, so will their profits. And it's not a prediction, it's a fact, and it will happen. But if there's a different way to conduct business and it makes sense for operators, then the market looks better for California operators, for Nevada operators, for a lot of other operators, and it makes more sense for the market and consumers as well. Everywhere we go, we reinvent this wheel, but we've been doing it for decades now and perfected that method. And there is an element that we haven't even got to. There's a level in this cannabis industry that we haven't got to, but we all see what it is. In America, this is a $35+ billion market legally. So imagine what's left on the table.
Gearing towards the story and the spirit of the story, I think that's one of the reasons why it's important when we're looking at Missouri micro businesses for them to kind of crack down on these predatory practices and crack down on these people that are not true equity applicants and that are putting equity applicants up front to strip them of profits and of business control. So I think that this is a positive story. I appreciate, whether or not their policies work. Cool. If they do, that's amazing. If not, they're trying. So keep throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. But it's at least being addressed here where it's not in a lot of places.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, like, it sends the right message, especially when we think about markets like, Los Angeles or other places where social equity policy has been gamified in a way that probably wasn't aligned with the intentions of some of those regs. And so let's see what happens. I can't help but think when Simone talks about how the system is broken, that these systems are broken, and that it's all broken until California can move great flower outside of its state lines. Now, obviously, that's a very geocentric statement for me to make, but I don't take it back. I think that there's a world in which cohesive national policy is going to allow states that have a prolific history of being producer regions to be able to take their surplus and put them in other markets where there are people who will enjoy that quality. And so while I hope that every state has its own program that makes a lot of sense, I actually hope more that places like California can continue to pump out the best flower in the world and allow the rest of the American citizenry to enjoy it without fear of prosecution.
Mm-hmm. Well.
Very selfish of you, Yarrow.
And I don't take it back.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Missouri is the show me state. Maybe they will show us how to run the marijuana industry.
I'd say they are.
As long as it doesn't include their angina and peanut butter flour, we're fine.
Whoa, pause on that. And we're going to go to a commercial and we're going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. You get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Oh, and we are back. And stop whatever you're doing. Make sure that you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you've not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And we put out a post on X yesterday, and I'm hoping that everybody will go over there and repost it. Adam is getting ready to post this so you guys can see it. There we go, right there. President Biden pardoned a bunch of murderers basically yesterday, and made, so that they can all get released for the holidays and whatnot. But yet he did not release any of our nonviolent cannabis offenders. And so I just want to, share that with you guys. I hope you guys will go over, share your thoughts on this X post. Make sure that you repost it as well and everything. And let's get some traction, because we need to there needs to be some things to get these nonviolent criminals out of prison. And we would appreciate all of your support on that. And also make sure you're following us on X if you're not already. Are you all ready for America's new #1 D9 gummy line? That's right, we are bringing to you Parody Gummy. These vegan gummies are manufactured in a safe harbor facility, so they're going to be clean and safe, and they're not going to give you any of the runaround. Coming in, we have 3 amazing flavors for you. We have the Raspberry Riots. Also, we have the Sleepy Joes, if you need something to help you sleep at night. And if you're feeling like raging and having a party time, that's right, we have the Pineapple Bad Hombre. If you're feeling like a bad hombre, make sure you head over to www.parodygummy.com and secure your bag today. You guys, and we are back, and we are gonna roll right into the man that is back from Hawaii and didn't get no tan. He needs a telephone book and a booster seat just to make sure he can make it on the screen, and that's right, is the man with a plan, Mr. Yarrow Kubrin.
Jenny, can I see you?
None of
Can I
my
see you clapping? Can I see you clapping too, Jenny? I can't even read right unless I see you clapping as well.
She's golf clapping because she loves to golf.
That's all right. As long as I can say Jenny's in my fan base, I am doing great.
She's in your fan base, Yarrow.
Speaking of doing great, Hawaii was amazing. And for those viewers that don't know, I caught my first blue marlin, and that was an amazing experience. I feel like that was in a top 50 bucket list experience. So that was really cool. Anyway, thank you for joining us right here before Christmas and tuning in once again to the only daily news show that covers the previous 24-hour news cycle nationally and internationally in cannabis and hemp news. And without further ado, off my shelf, still in the Shire, I got an article hot off the press, published yesterday here in my lovely, sunshiny home state of Cali. Drum roll. After California legalizes cannabis cafes in 2025, one opens soon in San Diego County. Among the new California laws taking effect on January 1st, 2025 is a bill legalizing cannabis businesses to sell food and non-alcoholic drink, as well as host live performances. Newsom signed Assembly Bill 1775 into law September 30th, amending an existing portion of the Business and Professions Code to allow the sale of prepackaged non-cannabis infused food and non-alcoholic beverages in businesses that sell cannabis. The bill also allows those businesses to sell tickets for live concerts or other performances that would take place in areas where the consumption of cannabis is allowed. However, the sale or consumption of alcohol or tobacco is still not allowed on the premises, and access to the cafes or lounges is strictly prohibited to those who are not 21 and over. National City was one of the first cities in the state to permit one such business with the introduction of Sessions by the Bay, which will occupy 16,000 square feet of space located at 700 Bay Marina Boulevard, our Bay Marina Drive. It was initially set to open as San Diego's first cannabis lounge, where people could unwind by having a smoke sesh with others in a luxurious Moroccan-inspired atmosphere. And under the new law, it will also offer craft cannabis-infused mocktails and bites. Sessions by the Bay is slated to open January 17th, soft opening, followed by grand opening on February 7th. Other businesses planning to open cannabis cafes and lounges in the county and statewide are subject to local licensing and permitting laws within their individual jurisdictions. Okay. So let me just kick this off for y'all. I think the optimization of regulation is allowing human behavior that's been occurring for generations to occur without fear of prosecution or persecution. Cannabis and music go hand in hand. Cannabis and food go hand in hand. Cannabis and beverages go hand in hand. And when government finally figures out that that's how people want to enjoy their lives or some portion of it, it's a step in the right direction. I've been troubled to see how consumption lounges have often been a phase 2 for regulated programs in a variety of markets, including mature markets like California and Colorado, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I am happy to share what I think is good news, and I can't wait to go down there and enjoy this facility once it's open. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News. I'd like to hear what the rest of you think.
I mean, I think this is great. I mean, overall, they're going to get some consumption lounges. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's a great thing, Yarrow. You know what I mean? I think this is going to be the first one, right, in San Diego or the county of San Diego. Do we know if it's which one?
I don't know if National City is within the boundaries of San Diego. I believe it's probably within the.
It's in
county.
San Diego County, right?
Yeah, I ran at that city for dispensary development a couple of years ago when I was working over at CanDev, and it was a really challenging city to find locations in. So zoning restrictions and mapping issues not considered, I love this. I think this is a step in the right direction. San Diego's got a variety of colleges, a lot of military base. They'll be allowed to enjoy themselves as well.
As soon as they retire.
Sunny, beautiful. What's not to like about this?
Way to go, San Diego.
Yeah,
and the part about being
whale's vagina.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Getting it right.
Well, what are you going to say, Saman?
The fact that they can start selling drinks again at like just normal cannabis established like retail dispensary. I mean, look, we're
food and beverage. You're saying food and beverage.
How many years have you been waiting to be able to do that? I remember, Jason. I remember when you used to sell, drinks and stuff, and we had to take them off the shelves back in 17, 18, and that's like crazy to me that it took this long just to reinstate something so simple. I mean, the clusterfuck again it's all on the taxation, right? It's like why we can't intermingle certain like tobacco products in the dispensary. It's because taxation.
Overregulation.
Here we go. So exactly. So when I say it's the government's fault, I fucking mean it.
Yeah.
And this is like some, it's like the simple stuff. You can't sell a bottle of water. You can't sell whatever, a Gatorade at your dispensary because there's some stupid funky rules regarding what you can and can't do. And so now I guess, thank God they're getting it right this many years later, but it's this is the annoying shit we have to deal with everywhere. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's a step in the right direction, but annoying. Yeah.
Fair enough. I just wonder. I would think, if I had a consumption lounge, I'd want to do like some type of like cool little thing for Christmas Eve and have like a, what I'm saying, a little Christmas tree kind of fun little thing. Roll your Christmas trees. You know what I mean? I think that would be a good time. Bring the family over. You got all the family in town and whatnot, and I'll roll over to the consumption lounge. You know what I'm saying? Have a jolly good time with some hot chocolate.
The kids, their first joint on Christmas.
Not the kids. You leave the kids with the babysitter, Todd, or the nanny. You know what I'm saying? It's California.
And get a family. No one is leaving their children on Christmas Eve.
No.
Parents are always trying to figure out some way to leave their kids.
Danny, Macaulay Culkin's a perfect example.
Exactly. One of the greatest.
Right.
So I sure hope.
Look what happened to poor fucking Macaulay Culkin. Look how his life's turned out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all because of that.
Success story, right?
Look at him now. That's right.
I wouldn't let him watch my kids. So I
probably has
hope,
good drugs though.
This probably goes without saying, but I hope that the edible, the food and beverage component in the consumption lounge is taxed differently than the cannabis. That's my first hope. The second thing is I've talked to some people in the consumption lounge space who are thought leaders, and I hate that term, but I think a good example of somebody who's been way ahead of the curve is Sarah Stewart. And, they've talked for a long time about how the margin in these experiential opportunities are going to be in the conventional products and the conventional markup, and may not be in the cannabis so much itself as it is in those peripherals or ancillary products that can be sold in. I think about the conversation we had yesterday around cannabis beverages and how I proclaimed that we were a generation away from having beverages that would have maybe cannabis and alcohol cross-faded formulation.
You know what?
I do think that this is going to be a perfect example of where cannabis beverages are going to see more rapid adoption, because people are going to be listening to music and they're going to be eating and drinking and smoking, and they're not going to have alcohol available. And so I think these are going to be a great petri dish for the beverage journey.
You know what, Yarrow? You mentioning that, I talked with my buddy that I brought up, who is going to be bartending Gwyneth Paltrow's party, and he said that he had seen Can, he was familiar with it, but he has not ever mixed any cocktails with it at any of these events, and he's going to be doing it again tonight, and I'm going to have an update for you guys on Christmas Day if Can was making an appearance in the mocktail section over at Gwyneth Paltrow's holiday party.
Egregiously, you are fucking him over on his NDA, Jason.
Yeah,
just to be able to say like my buddy this, my buddy that, and give some kind of insider knowledge. You literally possibly fucking his opportunity at ever doing it again.
You are dishing the scoop.
Then fair enough. Then you know what? I want then we'll keep it quiet. We'll keep it quiet, you guys. It'll be the holiday gift of quiet. Yeah.
An unnamed Hollywood celebrity.
Keep it quiet.
Oh God!
Adam, go back. Rewind the tape.
You guys are so funny. Right. You guys are so funny.
Listen, I don't know. I think cannabis clubs are great. I agree, Yarrow. It'll maybe be helpful, but it's a very niche market, right? The people who want to go out and get fucking wasted and dance on the table are still going to want to do that. Like, I've seen some really, really amazing comics that I've seen both at Yamashiro and at a cannabis club, literally the day apart, right? Yamashiro, really nice restaurant, private shows, food, alcohol. Cannabis club, food, cannabis. I have never seen those jokes fall so flat or so many comics be like, never the fuck again am I coming here, because people are just so stoned at that point. It's just like,
you're so right about that, Jenny Beth, because it happens the same thing with concerts and entertainers. Like I know tons of rappers. They're like, they don't want to perform at cannabis concerts and whatnot because they don't get any energy from the crowd.
right. The best you got is like, are they not in their head or are they trying not to fall over?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's Adelanto, it's 800 degrees and we've been out here all day. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, on that, we're going to go into our next commercial and we're going to be right back.
Are you a business that's suffering from the hyperinflation that is plaguing America today? We have the solution for you. That's right, Patriot Business Financing. Head on over to www.patriotbfc.com and apply for a loan up to $2 million. Any state, any industry, even the cannabis industry, the CBD industry, as well as the industrial hemp fiber industry. Secure up to $2 million today, and make sure that when you apply, you tell Paul you said hi from High at 9.
Oh, yes, and we are back. We are back, and we're going to roll right into Mr. Saman Razani. He's a formulations expert and the man who has been able to formulate a plan to help women over 40 how to say hello again. That's right. It is the man, the myth, and the legend back from the East Coast adventures, Mr. Saman Razani.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's great to be back home in lovely, rainy California. I wish I could say sunny, but it is dumping rain up here in Santa Barbara. We have an interesting story today out of our favorite Lone Star state, Texas. Wild West of THC. Texas hemp shops can sell weed and no one's going to stop them, says Sid Miller. When it comes to regulating consumable hemp-derived products in Texas, there's no sheriff in town. That's according to Agricultural Commissioner Sid Miller, who used to own a hemp farm, and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who's pushing for a ban to bring in line what they see as the Wild West for THC. Lounges, dispensaries, and cafes vending cannabis and cannabis-based products continue to sprout in cities all over the Lone Star State, including in San Antonio. There are nearly 8,000 registered hemp retailers in Texas, with 800 licensed businesses operating in San Antonio, according to the Texas Department of State Health Services. One such retailer is Lazy Days, a coffee lounge that legally sells intoxicating hemp-derived cannabis products, which recently opened a shop on the St. Mary's Strip. If you're scratching your head over how a place like this can lawfully operate in Texas, the answer is simple: loopholes. In Texas, two critical pieces of legislation bind cannabis laws: State House Bill 1325 and the Texas Compassionate Use Act. The latter permits licensed physicians to prescribe, in quote, low THC cannabis to patients with certain health conditions. House Bill 1325 allows the production and sale of consumable hemp products with a concentration of 0.3% Delta-9 THC or less by, in quote, dry weight standards. Any more of the psychoactive ingredient, and the plant is legally classified as marijuana, illegal within the state of Texas. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. However, that phrasing allows for several loopholes, said Thomas Petrini, 29, manager of Lazy Days in Bluffierville. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The dry weight problem. For edibles, it basically lets us use the same Delta-9 THC that's being used in California, Colorado, everywhere else that's recreationally legal, Petrini said. When they wrote the law, they didn't realize that 0.3% by dry weight makes it very easy to get effective doses. Dry weight isn't the best metric to use for lawmakers trying to regulate THC in Texas, said Nicholas Mortillaro, a chemical engineer who specializes in the biosynthesis, extraction, and formulation of cannabinoids. When authorizing the House Bill 1325, Mortillaro said lawmakers did not realize that THC is measured in milligrams. There are 1,000 milligrams to 1 gram, and it only takes 5 to 10 milligrams of THC to get the average person high. That 0.3% by dry weight standard allows you to put potentially 50 milligrams of THC in a consumable, so you don't have to chemically alter the compound for it to be totally compliant and safe within the Texas law, Mortillaro said. You're simply diluting it to a point where it's less than 0.3% by weight, whether that's in a 30-gram cookie or a standard 12-ounce drink. Patrick aims to close loopholes in December. In a December 4th statement, Patrick announced his intent to ban all consumable forms of THC through Senate Bill 3. Dangerously, retailers exploit the agricultural law to sell life-threatening, unregulated forms of THC to the public and made them easily accessible, he said. Thousands of stores selling hazardous THC products have popped up in communities across the state, he said. These stores not only sold to adults, but they targeted Texas children and exposed them to dangerous levels of THC. Ty Shepis, a Texas State University professor of clinical psychology with a specialization in substance use, said the majority of the danger doesn't lie within the cannabis itself, but in Texas, lack of testing and labeling regulations. Our state lags years behind the labeling and testing standards of other states that other states have, Shepis said, making the environment surrounding the Texas market much more dangerous. The major problem with the black market, the illicit drug market, is that ultimately it is based on word of mouth and trust, Shepis said. Individuals that rely on those markets don't necessarily know what they're getting. Miller said Texas legal cannabis market has barely any oversight, largely due to a lack of funding. We don't have enough money, Miller said. Basically, all we can do is issue licenses. We don't have inspectors to go out and inspect fields to see if they're hemp, to see if they are hemp or marijuana. The same holds true for Texas cannabis retailer, Miller said. There's no oversight on these businesses. They can basically sell marijuana and no one's going to stop them, he said. But Petrini said he doesn't believe the problem is nearly as widespread as some lawmakers have made it out to be. He said several state regulators have paid Lazy Days Texas location a visit to ensure compliance. The rules are rules. The rules are the rules, right? And we make a very concerted effort to play by the rules, Petrini said. If other people are not playing by the rules, that's something that makes us all look bad. Lazy Days offers a wide variety of cannabis-based products that Patrick's Senate Bill 3 would affect directly. Petrini said that the shop ensures the quality of and the legality of the products in Texas by issuing certificates of analysis after testing and measuring concentrations of hemp-derived THC for each product. While Miller maintained his firm opposition to recreational cannabis, he said he'd like to see lawmakers consider more oversight on the production and retail levels rather than an all-out ban. Petrini agreed. We welcome regulation, Petrini said. If someone is out there selling to children or selling stuff that's illegal, we don't want that any more than Patrick does. Vetting retailers. A 1 year registration to sell consumable hemp costs $155 per retail location, and to manufacture, process, and distribute the product, it's $258 per location, according to the Texas Department of Health and Human Services. Retail applicants are not required to undergo a Federal Bureau of Investigation fingerprint criminal background check. That's interesting. In places where the recreational medical uses of cannabis are legal, however, the standards for becoming a licensed retailer tend to be much more stringent. In Colorado, license application fees are thousands of dollars. Licenses often require through background checks, plus confirming adherence to federal labor and employment. And that's pretty much the story here. Very interesting that the way that they're conducting the business in Texas is, so free and open. I mean, obviously, we know that that's the issue with the THC market versus the cannabis market. It's the regulation, it's the taxation, and in Texas, it's obviously the background checks that they're not issuing for anybody that's just selling hemp. So how do we fix this problem? Is it an all-out ban? Is it working with these operators to ensure compliance? But I really can't, I don't know if I even believe there's a point where a smoke shop or a gas station selling this kind of stuff is selling it to a kid. I mean, everybody understands the limitations. Those kids aren't going in those gas stations and buying beer. Or are they? I mean,
Right.
And is that an alcohol industry problem? Because everything gets, negatively associated with our industry and our efforts, but there's so many restrictions and limitations to what operators can even pursue as like marketing or, images for their packaging. So I don't know if I buy the kid thing, but obviously I know that people are they're doing some very unique attempts at their own marketing. So is it they have to fall in line with other states that have issued pretty bland and kind of bland guidelines? I don't want to say vanilla guidelines, but bland guidelines.
Vanilla.
So what do you guys think? I'd love to hear from you guys. It's been a great time back reading the news from home. I hope everyone enjoys their Christmas Eve. Much love and respect to all. What do you guys have to say?
Man,
I still remember all of the stores that would sell us beer and liquor in high school.
So Saman, to your point, I'm not sure if I'm buying that head shops are selling to kids. I agree with you on that, but I could see it possibly happening at gas stations in all reality, because you have the store clerks that might not know to check IDs for certain products and whatnot. I could actually see that possibly happening, but at the same time, that's not a super small scale. But
my ID gets checked in 7-Eleven if I want to buy a beer, so they're all checking.
That's because of your immaculate hair.
Yeah, that's what it must be.
I also want to say shout out to Brian Dombrowski. He says Texas is the bellwether state. We are about to show the nation how to do this right. Let the negotiations begin January 14th. Look, Brian, we're hoping the best for you down there. We know that you guys are, you guys are definitely onto something. I mean, it's a huge industry down in Texas. They really need to get this right. Fumbling this at this point is just a travesty. It's a travesty for not only operators, but everybody in the value chain that has anything to do with this distribution, transportation, retailing of any cannabis product.
I thought they better take care of their power problem.
I thought this had the best headline.
We got clean coal coming, man.
I thought this had the best headline. It says Wild West of THC. Texas hemp shops can sell weed and no one's gonna stop them, says Sid Miller, the agriculture commissioner. You guys, how awesome is that title?
Well, it is and it isn't, because I was down in Austin earlier this year, a couple other places, and shout out to Brian Dombrowski. I mean, let's be clear.
Does Austin really count?
He's a NorCal guy, and he's down in Texas now.
Does Austin really count as Texas?
Is lucky to have him. Yeah, it does. And I've been in the chat talking about brisket because it completes.
It's like the donut hole in Texas.
Of different levels. It's like the hash hole.
The donut hole.
But the brisket. The thing I think is worth noting, is this is because they have no adult use program. This is because their medical is kind of FUBAR and not very efficient. Kind of. They have like 3 stores in the entire state. Kind of FUBAR. Kinda. I was being kind and gentle instead of.
I'd say that kind of statement was kind of disingenuous of what the Texans are really going through.
It's a shit show, and it doesn't prioritize patient access, and it's not great for the customer, and it's not good for the patient. And so these stores are the byproduct of not having a more sane set of guidelines. Mm-hmm. So I hope that Brian is right, and I would love to be as rah-rah and as enthusiastic and optimistic as he is. We're not going to mention other issues on this program, and in the recent past, Texas doesn't have a great track record of prioritizing personal freedoms and civil liberties. And so we won't say that that's about women and their relationship with their doctors, but we will say that that is an example of people and medicine, and Texas not understanding that their role as government is to get the fuck out of that conversation. So do I hope that they could do a better job when it comes to cannabis patients and their relationship with medicine and doctors? I do. But I also think about the article that we talked about in England, where England is so far behind other countries in Europe, and Texas is so far behind other states in the United States. And so if we could see some exponential change, some massive shift in January, like Dombrowski is referencing in the chat, that would be great. I don't know personally that I would hold my breath, even if it had great smoke inside of my lungs.
Well, we did get a super chat from Mr. Brian Dombrowski, who says, make Senate Bill 3 great. Negotiate and regulate Texas, you guys. I just want to say yeehaw and wait for the people.
I agree with him.
And hands off Yarrow's uterus. It's his body, his choice.
Whoa.
His body, my choice.
But I'd like
Stop
my
killing
hands
babies.
on somebody's uterus. Call me. Somebody. I can make women over 40 say hello again, too. So I'm not the only one.
Hey, it's 45. I don't know why it keeps dropping down lower. Okay, guys, it's 45 and up. Okay.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize.
Like perimenopausal. That's like not even full blown menopause. It's perimenopause.
But perimenopause.
It shows how much you guys know about cooters.
Well, every woman is different.
Hey, Bad Santa, easy there. Okay?
Some women age faster than others.
Free your minds, free your lungs, smoke that good shit, and hopefully Senate Bill 3 becomes the new law of the land in Texas.
It could be extra exciting down there. Texas is ready for it.
It might make me want to put up with them summers in Austin. You know what I mean? So
they're going to legalize. They don't have the power grid to even handle it.
They have all that pharma. They got all.
Yeah,
that.
but you know what they do have? You know what they do have, Todd? They have all the water. Okay, and I'd be more than happy to trade them some power for some water.
California might have to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
California definitely might have to.
We have no problem with that. We would love to help out the great state of Texas.
Yeah, just because their power grid is perimenopausal doesn't mean they're not still super moist.
I'm just saying the religious right is lower Texas. There's not going to be a legalization in Texas.
Yeah, that's just you know what, Todd, you can't be such a naysayer. Sometimes you have to believe in Christmas miracles and not being such a ho-hummer.
Are you Santa or are you the Grinch? What are you doing here?
Exactly. You got the wrong hat on to be talking that way.
Are you taking the Christmas tree lights?
Oh, or are you like Bernie Sanders, the communist Santa that just wants to come down your chimney and take all of your presents away?
Bernie is not a communist.
Sage has a word for that. Sage has a word.
Guys.
All right, you guys. I'm going to go into my final story for you guys today. Are you ready for this? Because a company tied to marijuana cultivation partner buys a former bank for $1.9 million, you guys. That's right. This is coming out of the great state of Ohio, the Buckeye State. An Ohio entrepreneur in the cannabis field has purchased a former Key Bank branch building in Dayton on Patterson Road for nearly $2 million. In a quote, "It's going to be a certified dispensary. It will be our second store and our first in the Dayton community," said Zach Welprin, a partner in Certified Cultivators, an Ohio certified level 1 cultivator and processor through the state's medical marijuana program. The dispensary will be similar to what the company has built in the Cleveland area, where it opened a South Ulysses dispensary with a drive-through lane this past summer. The Dayton site will probably open in about 6 months, where it will likely have about 30 full-time employees, open from about 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week, Welprin said. In a quote, "I've been driving by that building for 35 years because we grew up in Oakwood," Welprin said on Monday. "It's right down the street from where we grew up. There will be a drive-through access point, and there should be 40-plus parking spaces." The company also operates a growth and processing lab on Springfield Street, also in Dayton at 951 Patterson LLC, bought the building and the property at 951 Patterson Road from Patterson Road LLC. Montgomery County records give the sale date as December 17th, and the sale price, I'm sorry about that, you guys. And the sale price is $1.9 million, and the state articles of organization for the acquiring LLC were signed by Weprin. The former bank is in part of a Dayton near municipal border shared with Oakwood and Ketterling, and it is also near a Leora addiction and mental health treatment facility, you guys, at 948 Patterson near the intersection with Wilmington Avenue. Weprin said the dispensary he has in mind will be more than 500 feet away from the Leora facility as required by the state commerce rules, and in a quote says, "It's far away. You can't really see it," he said. "I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 12 years old, and I've been a cannabis consumer for a very long time. We are big believers in the medical component of cannabis and excited to serve the community in Dayton." Weprin may also be known in the Dayton area as one of the founders of the Fusion chain of fast casual sushi restaurants with Stephen Harmon and Weprin's brother Josh. And Weprin said his sole commercial focus these days is on the cannabis cultivation business. Certified Cultivators at 1654 Springfield Street in Dayton was one of the 2 growers awarded a provisional level 1 license back in 2018 by the Ohio Department of Commerce, and with a level 1 license, Certified Cultivators was able to have up to 25,000 square feet of growing space for medical marijuana. Cultivators operate marijuana grow facilities while processors, manufacturers, Canada, and we don't really need to know all of that. But back in 2021, KeyBank announced plans to consolidate its 951 Patterson with 20 West Whip Roads branches into its Arbor branch at 4401 Far Hills Avenue in Kentling, you guys. Man, oh man, look at this. They're going to turn a bank into a dispensary in Ohio, and I bet you they're still only going to sell tents. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, yeah, they're only going to sell tents.
What's that, Jenny?
Of course, they're only going to sell tents. And as Todd was about to say, the banks are a perfect setup. If you've seen a fucking bank turned into a dispensary, there's already a vault. There's already a lot of things. There's already security measures in place. It's pretty easy fix and flip.
Yeah, sir.
I've done a little bit of business in Ohio, successfully transacted 7 or 8 real estate purchases in there for dispensaries. That $2 million valuation, I'd love to understand more about that property. That seems rich. And so I think one of the things that I like to bring up is that when entrepreneurs are tasked with paying above market for real estate based on the restrictions because of zoning and sensitive uses, that gets passed down to the customer too, and is a drag on the sustainability and profitability of those businesses. And so I haven't seen an appraisal for this. I know that market a little bit. I'm not an expert. I am in real estate in general, and that does seem like it's a pretty hefty sales price. I mean, maybe the lot is subdividable and it's super huge and it's got room for 150 parking spots, but for that market, $2 million seems like a pretty pricey trade.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that, but I wonder if it was just if the seller was a Michigan fan and he was like, you know what, I just want to serve it up to these Buckeyes.
Possibly,
it's possible.
Seller was so we don't know that the seller was the bank. The bank may have just consolidated their operations, and then the landlord decided to get rid of that location because they didn't have an anchor tenant or what have you. But that's a big real estate number in that market.
By the sound of how the article reads, it sounds like this bank was vacant for a substantial period at a time. From how he says he used to drive by the location for a long time and it sounds like it's been vacant for a while. I don't know though.
Drive by shit that's open, Jason.
What's that, Jenny?
You can also drive by things when they're open. I mean, I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair point, Jenny Beth. I didn't get that impression from the article.
All right.
You have any thoughts on this, Saman, before we close out?
What were we talking about?
Simon's lost.
Did he just burp?
Simon's lost. Simon's
what
lost.
were we talking about?
Yeah, it's all right, you guys. Happy Christmas Eve, everybody. We look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big thank yous to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely, truly amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do all this. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners, Adam out there in the metaverse, holding it down. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. Adam, we got some Christmas music for him?
2, 1, 2, 3, 4.